ever U.S. Gravel National Championships is being held this year in Gering, Nebraska, with Stars and Stripes jerseys on offer for the separate elite men and elite women's fields, along with a $60,000 prize purse, the largest one-day payout in American gravel racing. Additionally, national championship jerseys are on offer for various age categories and para-athlete categories. So what's the course like? What's the tire selection? What should we expect in terms of tactics? And where the heck is Gering, Nebraska? That is exactly what this video is all about. I'm out here riding today with gravel pros and my friends Leah Van der Linden, Whitney Allison, and Zach Allison, along with some folks from USA Cycling. And we are joined by Aaron Rains, the race director of the Roubadou Rendezvous, which is held here on these very roads, and he's helping out with the USA Cycling Gravel National Championships. All that to say, we have a lot of experienced folks here to help tell you what you can expect and what you can look forward to at the first ever USA Cycling Gravel National Championships. Gering sits on the western end of Nebraska between Colorado's Front Range and the Black Hills of South Dakota. It's about a 3-hour drive from Denver. Even when you add in the 14,000 or so residents of the neighboring Scotts Bluff, it's not a huge city, and the rolling gravel roads are right out the door. There are 4 distances on offer. The premier 131-mile distance that the elite men and elite women are racing, along with many of the age group categories, has 5,600 feet of elevation gain and is approximately 90% on gravel roads. There is also an 88, a 50, and a 25-mile distance that all nest into each other. All 4 head south out of Gering into the Wildcat Hills on quiet country roads, where most of the time the loudest sound is just the wind. There's the occasional bit of oil pumping machinery and a ranch truck once every hour or so, if our ride today is any indication. While none of the courses are dead flat, neither are they strictly climbers courses. There are rollers aplenty, and then a few more sustained climbs. The first consequential climb on the long course comes at mile 18. This is a climb that's been used in the Roubadou Rendezvous course and provided a springboard for many an early race attack. That could happen here at Gravel Nationals too. And then here, just past mile 30, another long sustained climb could prove another decisive point in the race. This gains about 500 feet. And then the steepest climb of the day comes at mile 115, deep in the race, where the road kicks up over 10%. All the courses are primarily on these quiet gravel roads with a bit of a pavement, some minimum maintenance roads on the long course, and then for the 88 and the 131, about 2 miles of rugged single track that precedes a fast descent for recovery.
So the toughest parts on course are likely going to be the single track. It's pretty late in the race, mile 85, 90. It can be a little soft. We're working on it. There's also some other sections out on course. There's some minimum maintenance roads that you know, they're not going to be ripping fast like the main roads. So some of those things I would advise, you know, large volume tires, those kind of things to make it through, and keep your momentum through some of that stuff.
It's dry, minerally, pretty loose. Sink in. I think this course, from what I've seen so far, and then adding in single track is probably good for a 40 millimeter minimum. I'd say like 40 to 45 is probably going to be ideal. It rolls a lot faster on a little bit wider tire. There's a lot of chunk. The roads are pretty rowdy. It's not, I wouldn't say it's classified fully as fast gravel even.
I will be racing a mountain bike. I'm kidding. Width and tread. I love the pile tread. I think it's fast. I'll be on a Renee Hearse. And the width, I'm thinking at least a 38 for those sandy sections. Most people would probably opt to go a little bit bigger, more cushion, and a little bit more surface area to surf, but I think a 38 or a 40 would be just fine.
There's a lot of deep sand on course. The way that I like to ride deep sand is keep my weight back and give it the beans. So like if you're slowly losing speed as you're sinking into the sand, you're just going to come to a stop. So the faster you can go over it, the more you're going to float over it. If you keep your weight back, then your rear tire is kind of falling into the rut of your front tire, and you're going to float it a little bit more and have a little more control. And there's going to be a lot of embracing the rut, I think. So a lot of the sand is already in a tire rut. So letting the bike kind of stay under you and moving your body on top of the bike to keep everything balanced, and you'll have to stay in a lot of the ruts. So embracing the rut and keeping your weight back.
If you have done USA Cycling's Road Nationals before, this will be similar but different. There will be vehicles on course, but there will be no neutral support. So if you get a flat tire and you put your hand up, that's not going to do you a lot of good. This is a gravel race. You need to come prepared to patch your own flats and deal with your own mechanicals. The only exception to that being in the one private aid station. If you get there, you can receive help in that private station. Otherwise you're on your own, and competitors can help each other, but there is no neutral support from the following vehicles.
So we've got 4 public aid stations and 1 private aid station. The private aid station is a place where your outside help is able to go and assist you. You can have mechanical support, you can have friends and family there. But the other aid stations is only operated by the race, and outside help will not be allowed there.
So we've got a bunch of motos that are going to be out there. Those will be the vehicles on course. We'll also have some public work vehicles kind of at the front end, sheltering if there are cars coming towards us, things like that, keeping the bulk of the race, as safe as we can. But we're also cognizant we don't want a ton of vehicles out there. So we've got some motos that are going to go in between the fields just to kind of, if there's a big gap, keep cars from getting in between. But the main field, so our men and our women's elite open races, we're going to have a front end and a back end with moto, just to kind of keep those races protected. And we will have officials in there kind of watching for mixing if the women's field catches the men's field, working in those types of things. But other than that, you're out here, you're riding, and we're just trying to keep you safe. And that's the main purpose of the motos that are going to be out here.
This course is long. It's going to be hot, but beautiful nonetheless. Rolling hills, some wild horses. Critical, I think, will be that first climb, kind of coming out of the town of Gering, and then there are a couple technical sections on the course, and those will probably be some deciding factors as well. And 20 miles from the finish, you got a nice little climb too.
I think the winning move for this race in particular will come in Carter Canyon. We get prevailing westerly winds most of the year, and so Carter Canyon is the last climb on course. It's mile 119, 120, something like that. So I think the winning move is going to be made there. Whoever can get up that the quickest and catch those tailwinds back into town.
For all the championship racing, you will need an annual license, annual USAC license. But for the adventure rides, anyone can participate. You can show up on site, buy a one-day license. You get the same insurance, same coverage, same experience. So we recommend any and all categories come on out. What am I most excited about? I want to see where the competition goes. How it's raced. Is it a roadie mentality? Is it, a mountain biker comes and utilizes some of the single track, some of the more technical sections. Just excited to see how it races.
The first ever USA Cycling Gravel National Championships will be held here in Gering, September 9th. Full information on the racing and registration is available at gravelnats.usacycling.org.